welcome to your reading. So first, let's go ahead and set the intention that we are connecting with your energy and your energy alone. A big thank you to my spiritual team and your spiritual team for all the messages that we are about to receive. So we are taking a look today at your highest potential in this lifetime, what you are meant to achieve, kind of like the highlights, you know, your ultimate potential in this lifetime. And I'm just going to let your spiritual team kind of direct the reading here. So if they want to talk about your career, your love life, your personal growth, your spiritual growth, I'm going to leave it completely up to them. All upright cards. And we are starting off with the Enchanted Feline Forest Tarot. I always have the decks listed in the description box, but from personal readings and Patreon, I've kind of gotten in the habit of saying the names of the decks. We have the Empress and the Knight of Saucers, which is the Knight of Cups in this deck. So water sign energy, Cancer, Scorpio, and Pisces. And I just want one more card before we grab your Oracle too. We have the Seven of Cups. This came out though with the Hierophant, which is fine. These two messages are connected. Let's grab our Witchlings Oracle. I do want to get your tarot and your oracle all together before we get into your messages. So if you need to grab a drink or a snack while we do our shuffling, now would be a great time to do so. I'm excited too. We also have Intuition from the Witchlings Oracle. I got the Gilmore Girls Oracle deck today in the mail. It was a little birthday present to myself, and this is my first time using it. I played around with it just a little bit before I sat down to film, but I have the guidebook too in case we want to reference that. And this is the Spellcaster's Oracle. We've got protection and happiness. This is beautiful. I love this message so much. I'm excited to get into this one for you. We are going to grab now the Gilmore Girls Oracle. And I do have a few more decks that I want to use, but we're going to go through these messages first and then get into the rest of it, just so our little tray here doesn't get so crowded. Ooh, you got Rory's card, the gift. I really love that you're starting off with the Empress here, especially with it lining up with intuition. In this lifetime, your gender doesn't matter here, okay? But in this lifetime, we're just talking about the energy, and we all have feminine and masculine energies within us. But you are really meant to master the art of the divine feminine. You are meant to be the highest expression of divine femininity. And I always say the Empress is the queen of all queens. I really feel like the Empress is someone who has mastered the Queen of Pentacles, who has mastered the Queen of Cups, who has mastered the Queen of Swords, who has, wait, I forget which ones I've said. Swords, Pentacles, Wands, and Cups. You've mastered all the suits, okay? For all the queens. And that's a pretty high potential, okay? To have mastered all of those energies, all four queens, that's incredible. Okay, and this really speaks to, with the Queen of Swords, like the discipline of the mind, being able to advocate for yourself, being able to advocate for others, being able to set healthy boundaries and maintain them, being able to hold your own in a conflict in a healthy way where you're able to express your point of view, you know, and then at the same time hear someone else out, right? That Queen of Swords, like, she uses her voice to its maximum benefit. So really mastering the art of speaking, being able to present your point of view in a very persuasive manner. If you want to be a writer, that's a really good energy to master. If you want to be a public speaker, That's a really good energy to master. And then you have also mastered the Queen of Pentacles. She is someone who is very comfortable in her sensuality. She is someone who can create infinite abundance for herself. Then you have on the other side of it as well, the Queen of Wands, someone who is also comfortable in her sexuality, someone who creatively expresses herself, someone who is a real go-getter, someone who's not afraid to be spontaneous. But then also with that Queen of Swords, you know, you have learned how to be, I want to say like self-controlled, but I don't feel like that's the right way to put it. That feels like a bit clunky or a bit awkward. It's probably more so that you have a healthy handle on your emotions. You're able to self-regulate your emotions in a healthy way. And that takes us to the Queen of Cups, okay? You have really mastered your own inner world, okay? And I think you are someone who is highly intuitive, someone who probably is a dreamer, but then with you mastering these other energies, it's like you've taken those daydreams, those visions, and you have been able to, well, your highest potential will be to be able to channel those daydreams into real life tangible goals that you will then achieve, okay? But you're the queen of all queens, right? And then with the Empress, of course, the energy of the mother. The energy of the mother. And we can take this in a very literal sense, like for group one, maybe many of you are meant to be parents. Maybe many of you are meant to experience motherhood specifically and really thrive in that role, really being an amazing caregiver, someone who inspires your children, comforts them, nurtures them, and raises them to be amazing individuals, okay? For others of you, if you're not resonating with that idea, because it is a general reading, right? If you're not resonating with that idea of birthing children or being parents to children, because you can kind of play the role of the mother, even if you're technically a dad, you know, like you can fulfill the role that people traditionally associate with the mother, right? Like think of the archetype of the mother and what she represents. But if you're not resonating with that message, this could be the birth of a business, the birth of a creative pursuit, you having an idea and you bringing it to life. So going back to that idea of you being this daydreamer, this visionary, and being able to transform those ideas into real tangible goals that you then achieve, that you manifest, you bring to life these ideas that are floating around in your head, whether they're an idea for a creative project or an idea for a business, okay? And then that could then create potentially generational wealth, even if you don't have children, right? Like you can pass on that wealth to other members of your family, to the people that you love. With this Knight of Cups, you really are meant to be a romantic in this lifetime. I think you're meant to experience love in its highest form. I think you're meant to be someone who gives and receives love in a healthy way, and not everyone in their lifetime will experience what healthy love looks like, but you will be able to experience healthy, loving relationships in through multiple connections, okay? Whether it's a parent-child relationship, a romantic connection, a platonic connection, or even the relationship you have to your career and your work, because some people, you know, they think of their work as their baby, whether it's their business, you know, or like they wrote a novel, they think of that story as their baby, right? Sometimes people use that language, so we don't have to read these cards super literally if it's not applying in that way. So make adjustments, apply it how it resonates to you. Sorry, Gracie was being noisy, but I think she settled down. If she keeps it up, I'll have to take her out of the room. But I think she's quiet down now. So anyway, with the Seven of Cups and this Hierophant here, this is a really beautiful message Especially for those of you who are single watching this and have really been craving a romantic partner, someone to share your life with, wanting a life partner, wanting to get married. This symbolizes this idea of being someone's best choice and also feeling like you have chosen the best possible person for you, and just feeling so loved, feeling so special in that you are the reason someone is smiling and happy and fulfilled just by existing, right? Like this idea that you light up someone's world just by being yourself, and this idea that they light up your world just by being themselves, and this mutual willingness to let the other person be their most authentic self, like creating this comforting, safe space to let someone else truly shine and for them to let you shine too, which is beautiful. And again, that message may not apply for everyone, but I think especially for those of you who are really wanting that kind of loving relationship. And if you're not wanting to get married, if you don't see yourself ever settling down with just one person, I would say you can experience that energy through a best friend too. But I think for a lot of you, it is going to be through a long-term romantic partnership, most likely your future spouse, your life partner. Now with intuition, you're really going to learn how to connect to your intuitive abilities. I think for group 1, some of you may have psychic abilities. Maybe some of you haven't fully awakened to those abilities, but you may have some psychic abilities that you haven't fully discovered yet or fully explored. And I think these intuitive abilities are always there. It's more about you learning how to connect to your intuition and learning how to trust your gut. Okay, but that is something that you're meant to master in this lifetime. And like I said, this message here with protection and happiness is really beautiful, but also very simple. This idea that your happiness is divinely protected. In this lifetime, you are meant to achieve a level of happiness that maybe at this point in time you have only ever dreamt of. But I'm hearing happiness is your birthright, like it is protected. Your story, like if we think of your life as a story, does have a happily ever after. It does have a happy ending to it. And so if your life right now feels quite messy or uncertain, or even if you're in a really desperate place and your life feels like it's in shambles or you're experiencing rock bottom, first of all, I'm so sorry if that's the case, but also I'm here to tell you that that's not the ending, okay? Things won't always be this way, and you are going to have your happily ever after. It's going to look different for all of you, right? The specifics of that, but you are going to have a happy ending to your story. And Rory's card, the gift, you are meant to be blessed in this lifetime when it comes to your connections. Because when I think of Rory's car, this was a car that was built for her by her first love, her first boyfriend, Dean. And it's just such a thoughtful gift, right? Like it was such a nice surprise, this idea that someone would take the time, right, to like build a car for her. And it really just calls to mind this idea of really enjoying and experiencing what it feels like to truly be loved, to truly be cared for, to have someone just devote that kind of time and attention and detail to something to make you happy. And so I do think you're meant to be a nurturer, you're meant to be very giving, but I also think you are meant to learn how to receive love and receive blessings during this lifetime as well. So you're not just a giver, you're also meant to receive. Let's take our magical spell cards here and see what else we get. And I would say too with Rory's card, for those of you, this is more specific, but for those of you who are wanting to travel, wanting to relocate, wanting to move, it could be symbolizing that as well. Again, that's just more so like a little side message. We have letting go. Allow the wisdom to remain, but the sting I shall never feel again. And this is what's tough, because I do think it's not all sunshine and rainbows, right? Like, you definitely have your challenges, but I almost feel like your early relationships, your early connections are meant to be filled with strife and conflict and difficulties and incompatibilities and misunderstandings and miscommunications. Like, they're meant to be challenging so that you grow, so that you do evolve and learn how to master those different energies we were talking about in the beginning, kind of learning who you are and what you need and what you want through other people. I think quite often you'll find people serve as mirrors to you. You learn a lot through relationships, and I think those early connections are challenging, but as hard as those early connections are, you can expect an equal turn later on in life to experience the exact opposite. Beautiful, loving, supportive relationships that are just so happy and so fulfilling. With beauty here, I do think you're meant to go through at least one glow up in terms of your physical appearance during this lifetime. Some of you may have felt like you were a late bloomer when it came to your physical appearance, or you had to grow into your looks possibly. Some of you are really meant to develop your own personal style and aesthetic. Some of you may be really gifted at like interior design, or like I said, fashion, personal style. And I also think just in general, this idea of like you bringing beauty to the world, bringing beauty to your relationships, bringing a lot of beauty to people's lives. Like, people are better for having known you. But there is a process, I think, of letting go, of healing, of releasing that you're meant to do in your earlier years. And then, like I said, in your later years, you will experience these beautiful, loving relationships and connections. So if you've already been through a lot of challenging relationships, just know like you're coming out on the other side of it, right? And goddess energy, how well does that align with that Empress? The feminine expressed through wisdom, nature, life force, and sensuality. Exactly. Like, you are really meant to embody the ultimate divine feminine expression. Like, you are meant to be in this goddess energy where you feel fully confident, where you are thriving, where you feel beautiful inside and out, where you feel unencumbered and just free, and it just, and flow with the ebbs and turns of life. You know, like, just, I think really connected to the cycles, the seasons, right? That we often find in retrospect when we take a look back, at our lives, right? Hindsight is 20/20, but I think that you're really able to just kind of go with the flow of life and accept when you're on an upswing, and be really grateful when things are going well, but also really gracious when things are going not so great, right? When things are challenging. But I do think you're meant to be in this ultimate goddess expression. And I think you're meant to be in relationships where you feel like you are treated like a goddess, especially in romantic connections, like really feeling like you're with someone who honors you and respects you and values you, right? And someone who lets you shine, someone who lets you be just your brightest, most sparkly sort of self. And I do think this could be my group for like artists and creatives and writers, and even entrepreneurs as well. I was trying to decide, let's grab our charms. I want to read charms for you all, and then we will go into your wrap-up bonus messages. I think that's the best way to go. So we are going to put our charms on our little dish. It is going to be quiet here for a minute, While I am stirring up the charms, I'm going to quiet the audio, so it's going to be dead silent, just because when I mix up the charms, it's super loud. Once I have the charms mixed up, I'll close my eyes, and then I will just intuitively grab some charms for you, and we will see what we get. And the charms may have just some additional messages for you too, but we'll just go with the flow. Okay, let's see what we have. I love that you got the little angry emoji and then the smiling, sort of laughing, happy emoji, because I almost feel like the first half or so of your life, it's going to be like a different timeline for everyone watching, but I feel like the first kind of section of your life, there's a lot of frustrations, a lot of challenges, a lot of disappointments. But then the second half of your life, it's like the exact opposite. There's so much happiness and joy and this light, carefree sort of energy. It's like, you know, your first half of your life is darkness and difficulties, and then the second half, it's just beautiful. And so it's like you have to go through a lot of mess first, but you do find your happiness. And it does make me think of a quote from a Taylor Swift song. I believe it's called Peace, and I should know it because I have it on my wall, but it's hell was the journey, but it brought me heaven. It makes me think of that. So it's rocky in the beginning, but it does get better. It does get better. I love you have the little cowboy hat. I tell you what, I've been listening to a lot of Shania Twain lately, and I kind of get that sort of energy from your reading of like a Shania Twain song. Like, man, I feel like a woman. Like, she has so many like female empowerment, girl power kind of anthems, and there's this lightness to her music that, I don't know, even when she's singing about things that are really difficult or really challenging, they're still catchy and upbeat. And there's just something about, I think, even the resiliency of her own story. If you are familiar with some of the things that she's gone through, she's had a really rough time. And I won't go into her whole story just for the sake of time. You can look it up if you want to. But she is someone that has had equal challenge and success. You know, she's had her ups and she's had her downs. And I really feel like that is a definitely very similar, I guess, to your reading. But yeah, I do think of like a Shania Twain song when I think of your highest potential here. Think of just the most joyful, empowering song you can think of if you're not familiar with Shania Twain, but your energy in, I think, the second half of your life does feel like, man, I feel like a woman, if you've ever heard that song. And again, like, your gender doesn't matter. I mean, that song, I think, gets everyone hyped. Okay. Oh, I didn't even know I had. So with my charm kit, like there are like these like little silver charms. I don't know what I have in that charm kit because I bought a whole mixed bag of charms and I didn't look at them before I put them in the kit because I wanted to be surprised by them. And then I have other ones that I've had for like a really long time that have personal meaning to me. So there's a mix in there. It took me a while to build up the charm kit, but these like little silver charms are all going to be a surprise to me. But this one's cute. There's like the little ghost coming out of the roof, and there's the little moon here. There's the pumpkin. I like this idea of you having this potential of, well, let me go through all of the messages because there's a lot coming through with just this one charm and I want to be concise and not all over the place. Okay. It's so different, like shifting from doing personal readings so much to doing collective readings because there's so many messages coming through. I'm having to kind of, you know, when you like shift gears in your car, that's what it feels like. I feel like I'm shifting gears right now. But anyway, you are meant to, in this lifetime, have your dream home. Okay, like that. I think home to you means more than just a physical structure. And when I say your dream home, I don't just mean what it looks like, oh, you're meant to have, I don't know, if your dream home is like a 5-bedroom or something. It's more than just that. You're meant to have your dream home in every sense of the word. So if you want a home that is filled with laughter and love and a home that you share with your life partner and your children, 2 cats in the yard, you know, like the Lana Del Rey song. Whatever your idea of home is, not just the physical structure, although you are meant to have your dream home in terms of the physical structure and the location, but also in terms of who lives in that home and what it feels like to be in that home and the energy of that home. And I also think of, with the ghost being cleared out from the roof here, this idea of you are meant to do healing that is on a foundational root level to the point to where you break generational cycles that have persisted in your family, which I know is a heavy message, but there's something about you clearing out something that's been rotten in the roots and the foundation of your family and really doing things differently. All right. And it's interesting that we have the Emperor here with Justice, and what other card did we get? We got the Hanged Man. With Emperor, the fact that we have the Empress and the Emperor now, I do think for those of you who are resonating with that idea of like really wanting a life partner and wanting to experience a healthy, happy, stable, loving, lasting relationship, a romantic partnership that's everything you've ever wanted, this is confirmation of that. Like you are meant to have the divine masculine to your divine feminine. Again, gender doesn't matter. And with Justice here, I do think this is calling to mind the idea that there are certain karmic rewards that you're meant to receive in this lifetime, but there are also karmic lessons you're meant to learn. So I think the first half of your life is filled with a lot of karmic lessons, maybe things coming from your family, maybe things coming from your past lives, you know, whatever the case may be. But I think all of those karmic lessons are preparing you to receive really big karmic rewards in the second half or the second section of your life. With Hanged Man here, you're really meant to learn how to trust in your own decision-making abilities, trust in your own discernment. That goes back to you learning how to connect with your intuition. This one's really sweet with the ghost eating the bonbons here, the little Pusheen. This is the idea of healing, but like healing and releasing, but then finding almost the beauty in all of that growth. Finding the sweet rewards at the end of all of that kind of brokenness, really. That's the word that's coming through. It's reminding me of the idea of kintsugi, like the idea of like the cracks and the mistakes and what feels broken or what feels wrong actually being what makes a piece of art beautiful. Okay? And you would be the art in this case. It's funny because I said this group felt like my group of creatives, my group of artists. I think your greatest masterpiece during this lifetime will be the creation, the evolution of your own identity and how you see yourself and your relationship to yourself. We have the keyhole here. And you are the key to unlocking your own success here. And I think that's important to understand. Like, all of this, all of the blessings we've been talking about are because of who you are and who you will grow to be. You are the key to your own success. If any of this sounds too good to be true, you need to understand you have everything within you already right here, right now, to be on the path to achieve and receive all of this. And the only thing holding you back, would be self-doubt. Okay? What is this here? Ooh, we do have like the little bike. So some of you really could be meant to explore, be meant to travel, but also do it in style and be adventurous and be spontaneous and a little bit wild, kind of grow into a free spirit. I feel like some of you might be a little bit uptight or a little bit high-strung, a bit stressed in the first half of your life, maybe because of what you're dealing with, or maybe because that's your temperament, to be a little bit anxious or a bit in your head. But I think by the second half of your life, that second section, you're really going to, I think, just kind of calm down, ease into things, relax, let your hair down. I think you're going to just have more fun and be more of a free spirit, more laid back, more relaxed, more go with the flow, less worried all the time. Beautiful connections, beautiful, heartwarming connections and attachments in your life. And also maintaining a connection to your own intuition and never losing your own voice. Never losing your own voice. And you definitely have a Capricorn kind of energy to your life story, because if you think about Capricorn, it's ruled by Saturn, which is Father Time, which is learning through life experiences, learning things the hard way. Nothing comes easy. Success is hard earned. Nothing is handed to you. Life is an uphill battle. And I feel like the first half of your life, you're that goat climbing that mountain. And the second half of your life, you're running free down it because you have accomplished all that you have needed to. You've reached the pinnacle of success, and the second half of your life is just enjoying that success. Again, I'm saying half of your life, but the timing is going to be different for all of you. So just keep that in mind. But I also think of Capricorn too, like they're quite serious, quite stern when they're young, and they kind of age backwards like Benjamin Button. They become a lot more lighthearted and a lot more connected to their inner child in their later years. They're more connected to that childlike wonderment about the world in their later years, and as children they're more like mini adults. So again, like, oh, hold on a second. Sorry, Gracie was being loud again. Yeah, so I think the second half of your life, you're really going to feel a lot more lighthearted, a lot more go with the flow, and things won't be so challenging. Things won't be so hard. And actually, this little button, I think, is confirming that idea of like Benjamin Button. And you may also just age really, really well. You may end up looking younger in your later years than you did even when you were in like your early 20s. Some people are like that, so you may be almost like aging backwards, both in terms of your personality and your temperament, but also in terms of your physical looks. People will ask you, like, what's your secret? How do you look so young? And I think it reminds me too of that idea of like happiness looks really good on you. And good for a candlelit dinner. I think this love token is really confirming this idea of like you're meant to experience the best possible romance in this lifetime. Like you're meant to experience the healthiest expression, the most beautiful expression of romance and love in this lifetime. I also think of if someone makes you a candlelit dinner, this idea of being cared for, of being nurtured, of someone just really wanting to treat you and do something nice for you. And that kind of goes back to the Rory's car message too, right? So these were your charms. I'm going to put them a little bit to the side there, and let's get into your wrap up bonus messages. We're going to get you a Witch Cat card. Sorry if it's been noisy in the background. I feel like my house is so loud tonight. We have one small magical step. I'm going to put the card down though because I want to give you a chance to look at the artwork, and I'll shuffle this message for you. This is just going to be what's next in your life, group one. What's coming next? Again, just as a little bonus message for you. What is coming next? And you got two messages here. Okay, let's read your Witch Cat card. One small magical step. Meet Glimfeather Practicum, Slayer of the Overwhelm. Leaving the intricacies of his sacred path to spirit, he focuses on what is right before him. He rifles through his grimoire, brimming with simple, practical magic, until his intuition points to that one little action with the power to shift something big. What small step is calling to you right now? Meditating with the crystal, touching a tree, lighting a candle, dancing to your favorite music, or even just taking a few deep breaths. Trust in the magical unfolding that will spring from this one simple action. This is a really beautiful card, and I like the idea of like even small little baby steps can create ripple effects, kind of like the butterfly effect of positive change in your life. Everyone has to start somewhere, right? And what is coming next in your life? We have reflection and inner work first. My past supports my present. And I like how it says, not my past supports my present, but my past supports my presence. Like how you're growing even right now as we speak, right? And like the way her tree skirt looks like branches. And we did have that message, right? Of like you clearing something at the roots of your foundation, right? Like you're meant to do that. So I think for a lot of you, you are still doing that inner work. You are still doing that personal self-reflection. And then what's on the other side of that? The work is done. It's time for rest. So for some of you, like, yes, you're still kind of in the thick of all of that, like karmic lessons and learning and growing and healing. But there is going to be this beautiful, beautiful chapter after that where the work is done. It's time for rest. I release the seeds and trust that spring is to come. This beautiful abundance, this growth, this fresh energy, this restorative, restful, peaceful, abundant, joyful, beautiful time is on the other side of all of this growth. Okay, so group one, this was your reading. I hope that you enjoyed it. Okay, everyone, that wraps up your reading. I hope that it resonated and that it brought you all some comfort and gave you the clarity that you needed. I did want to let everyone know that I'm selling personal readings on Etsy, so if you're interested in a personal reading, be sure to check out the link in the description box. Also, I do small restocks. I'd have like limited filming time. So if ever there's a reading that you wanted, but it sold out, just be sure to check back. You can also look at the community post tab. I usually post on there whenever I do a large restock, or if I do a restock of any particular reading that's been popular. So like the future spouse readings typically sell out quickly. You can also send me a direct message on Etsy, and I will try to give you a heads up just before I do a restock if you want to be personally notified of whenever a new listing, whenever a listing is renewed. Okay, and then also, of course, we have our Patreon now too. So if you're interested in joining our Patreon community, I post 2 new videos every month over there. You get to vote on the topics, and you also get to submit your own topics. So it's a nice little community over there. So if you're interested in joining our Patreon, be sure to check out the link also in the description box for that. Please consider liking, commenting, sharing, and subscribing. If you hit the notification bell, this will also allow you to always know when I upload. The easiest way to support the channel is, of course, just to watch the ads. I also want to say a huge thank you to everyone who has been watching the ads, been a regular viewer, donated on Venmo, tipped with SuperThanks, commented, liked a video, any of that good stuff. It really means a lot to me. I know since I've had my baby James, I've been a lot slower about responding to comments, but I do read them and they do mean a lot to me. So I appreciate the engagement. I appreciate the support and everyone's patience. Everyone's been so kind to me as I've navigated this really big transition, being like a new mom. So I just want to take another moment to say thank you for that as well. And wishing everyone the best as always. Please take good care of yourself from me and from Gracie. We wish you guys all the best, okay? And yeah, I thought it was time to update the outro, so here we are. All right, take care, guys. Welcome to your reading. First, I want to quickly set the intention that we are connecting with your energy and your energy alone, and say a big thank you to my spiritual team and your spiritual team for all the messages that we are about to receive. So let's go ahead and get into it. All upright cards today, please, Spirit. And we'll start off with 3 cards upright for the Enchanted Feline Forest Tarot deck here. And we are looking at your highest potential in this lifetime. What are you meant to achieve? Your highest potential. We have the Hermit And if you hear any background noise, I do apologize, but hopefully it's not too distracting if you do. And like I was telling group 1, I got my Gilmore Girls Oracle today in the mail. I ordered it for my birthday this week, and this is my first time using it, so I'm really excited. We've got the Chariot, and then we have the 9 of Cups coming out with the 10 of Cups, which is gorgeous. So these two messages go together. And if you need to grab a snack or a drink, now is a great time to do so. We're going to be doing a little bit more shuffling. I want to get most of your oracle decks first. We have Motivation and Rejuvenation. And grabbing our Spellcaster's Oracle. At the end of your reading, we're going to be doing some charms and then bonus messages. We have Love. And we have Paris Geller, the Overachiever. Okay. You have some slight overlap with group 1 if you were drawn to group 1. And by the way, if you ever feel drawn or stuck between 2 different groups in a general reading, always watch the later reading first, because usually the tarot reader is going to say, oh, there's some overlap, or you may have been drawn to group 1 as well, or group 2 as well. Just a little helpful hint there. But anyway, okay, you do have some slight overlap with group 1, but for you, group 2, there's such an emphasis on found family, okay? And I will say, if this part of it doesn't resonate, you might need to choose a different group, or maybe the reading just isn't for you. But this reading is really for those of you who have felt in your early life like you don't belong. This feeling of, I don't belong here. This feeling of deep personal self-isolation, where even if you come from a large family, you don't feel like you fit in. So this is my group for people who don't resonate with their local community, where they grew up, their hometown, the environments that they were raised in. It's like, I don't belong here, I don't fit in. You know, even if you get along with your family, maybe it's just your local community, and this feeling of, I don't belong here, I don't fit in here. There's something about this place that doesn't resonate with me. You know, maybe you grew up in a small town, but that's never been the right environment for you, or maybe the opposite. Maybe you grew up in a city and it just never felt right. But there's a feeling of, I don't have a community here, I don't fit in, I feel like the black sheep, I feel like the oddball, I feel weird, I feel different, I feel like an outcast in some way, and I feel like I'm all on my own, and I feel lost. And maybe even for some of you, you question your own identity, or you try to change yourself, or try to fit in where you don't belong. You try to force it until you eventually can't, and you withdraw. Okay, and I think also in some ways this can keep you in a comfort zone where you kind of hide yourself away, and you don't want to be seen because of a fear of being judged again, and not measuring up, and never feeling good enough. And so you're meant to overcome all of that. You're meant to overcome all of that through finding spirituality, through developing a spiritual practice, through developing a personal relationship with your higher power, your angels, your spiritual team, whatever term resonates with you most, whatever your spiritual beliefs are, but you are meant to go through a spiritual awakening. And you're meant to learn how to navigate your spirituality with your free will. You're meant to find sort of like this sweet spot between accepting your fate, because some things are truly, truly outside of our control, right? and being able to exercise your free will in a way that really counts, in a way that really benefits you, you know, and not just letting life push you around, but really taking the reins, but also not trying to control things so much that you're fighting fate, right? Because that's pointless. That's a waste of energy. It's like that difference between internal and external locus of control. Not everything is within our power, right? It's almost like your life is the living embodiment of the serenity prayer. You know, having the courage and the wisdom to know the difference between what is within your control and what is not, and being able to accept what isn't within your control, and having the wisdom to know the difference between what is in your control and what isn't. Yeah, so it really feels like, again, the embodiment of the serenity prayer. But you're meant to find this community with the 9 of Cups and the 10 of Cups. You're meant to find a sense of community, a place where you belong, a place where you feel loved, a place where you feel supported. It does feel like found family. And even with Paris Geller here, the overachiever, like in the TV show The Gilmore Girls, her family is never really around. She's basically raised by like her, I don't know if she calls her, I can't remember if she calls her her nanny or her housekeeper, or like what her actual role is supposed to be, but she's basically Paris's mom, essentially. But Paris is just kind of left high and dry by her family in so many different ways, and she's never good enough. She just never measures up, no matter what she does. But she ends up finding family through Lorelai and through Rory in the show. And so I think you're meant to go through that kind of journey where no matter how hard you try, you just feel like you never measure up. You feel like you're never good enough. And through that process of like being rejected by people, places, and things that were never going to be a fit for you anyway, you're pushed to strike out on your own. You're pushed to really go in the direction of your own happiness. You're forced out of your comfort zone. You're forced out of what you've always known. And you strike out and you go and you do something different. And through that process and that spiritual awakening, you end up connecting with found family, with your soul family. And so all of that rejection in your early years really motivates you. It's almost like it brings you a second chance at life in some ways, because you see your early life as you learning that you can't fit yourself into a space that was never going to be right for you. It's like, it reminds me of that Hilary Duff song, Coming Clean. Trying to fit a square into a circle was my life. It's like that, you know, this was never going to be the right fit for me. And so I have to grow, I have to change. And so I think for you, it's learning how to love yourself and accept yourself through your spiritual awakening. And then in doing so, you attract people who love you and who accept you. But it really, again, feels like soul family connections. And I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of people in this group do move, do travel, do end up settling down somewhere that's really far away from where they grew up, that's far away from their family. Some people in this group may end up going like no contact with their family. And I think also you're really meant to learn this idea that you have inherent value and you don't need external validation. It's almost like in your early years, you're trying to prove yourself so much to justify you existing. It's like you don't have to justify your existence. You're meant to be here and you're already loved by spirit. You don't have to do anything to earn that love. That love is unconditional. And so Like, you don't have to, I don't know, like, you don't have to be anyone special. You're already special. Like, you don't have to go out and prove yourself and work yourself to the bone and burn yourself out to justify being here, breathing and taking up space. You know, it's almost like in your early years, you were taught to see yourself as a burden when really you're a blessing, you know? And my heart really goes out to you for that. Yeah, it's like being surrounded by a lot of energy vampires makes you aware that someone or something in your life is draining your life force. You're like this beautiful flower, like this exotic plant that was, I don't know, like raised in the wrong soil, in the wrong environment. And all someone needed to do was uproot you and put you in the right environment where you could thrive, and man, do you blossom, you know? It's really sweet, it's really beautiful, but it sucks in the beginning, it does. And I think this is where you have that overlap with group 1, where the early years are challenging, the early years are difficult. Your childhood is not the best. We have study. Now, I will say, especially with you getting Paraskeller here, like you really might be someone who's meant to have a degree in higher education. Maybe you're meant to get your PhD or your master's. Maybe you are meant to pursue even a career in higher education, or you're meant to have a career path that involves a lot of formal education and study, where you have to go to school for a long time to earn a certain degree, to earn a certain certification. And even this idea of you being a lifelong student, a lifelong learner. Energy and safe travel. These two cards coming out together definitely goes back to that vampire message that we got. Like, I really do think it's like toxic energy. It's like being born into just a horrible environment that you were not suited to, where energetically it's like pushing you down. It's like, I can't grow here. I can't thrive here. I can't be myself. I can't relax here. I feel like I am being energetically depleted. And you're meant to gain the confidence to be able to take yourself out of that environment. Whether it's a physical environment, a social environment, or both, you are meant to move. You're meant to get out of there. And you will be protected as you do so with safe travel. So it would really benefit you to relocate, to move. If you feel like you're still stuck in that environment, just know things will start to change. That will be the turning point in your life. When you get yourself out of that environment and you find a place where you belong, that's going to be the turning point in your life. That's when you're going to start to see your own self-evolution and things really coming together for you, and that connection with soul family members, with found family. All right, now we are going to move into your charms here. And the way this is going to work, I'm going to mix up all the charms, and then I'm going to close my eyes and just intuitively select a few for you and put them on our little dish. But I'm going to mute the audio for when I'm mixing up the charms, just because it's super noisy, okay? So it's going to get super quiet here soon. I have to say, I really love that you got this little flower here with all of the writing on it. I do think this is kind of like the best summary of your reading, just with this little flower here. This idea of you being able to rewrite your own story, kind of like you being able to write the plot twist in your own life just by changing your environment. It's like you thought your life was a tragedy, and then you're able to transform your life into a comedy, into a grand romance, or whatever the case may be, just by changing your environment. You're able to rewrite your own story so you can truly blossom. And I like that you got 2 love tokens here. Good for a very long cuddle and good for breakfast in bed. So this good for a very long cuddle, I actually am getting a funny message with this. For some of you, you're meant to have an animal companion in this lifetime that is very much like a guide for you, as part of your spiritual team. Think of how Disney princesses always have, or tend to have, an animal companion that really helps them on their journey throughout their story. And also, I think good for a very long cuddle and good for breakfast in bed, this idea of you being able to have sort of a romance, a partnership in your life where you feel very nurtured and very pampered and very cared for in a way that's just very cozy. Like, you're meant to have a romantic partnership that's very significant in this lifetime that just feels warm and comforting. And I don't know, they're giving me some food analogies like honey, a relationship that feels like honey, that feels like warm bread. It feels hearty and stable, but also like we're gonna stick together like honey. I know it's silly, but there's this innocence to it too. Just really being there for someone, being someone's rock, being someone's safe space, their safe haven. And I also think just this idea of things getting easier, things not feeling, I honestly feel like in the first or like early years of your life, I guess I should say, because all of you are going to end up moving and traveling, taking yourself out of that bad environment at different ages, right? But whenever you think of those early years where you were in that bad environment, it just kind of felt like you were always under attack. Like you were always backed into a corner and having to defend yourself and justify anything and everything that you did, right? And just feeling very criticized. And it's such a beautiful shift to then be in this like softer, easier, more gentle time in your life. This, like, once you move, it just feels so supportive. It feels so warm. It just feels like you're cocooned with love, through your coworkers, through your friends, through your neighbors, through your partner. Like, it just feels like there's a lot of love there. I'm thinking of how, like, if we go back to Gilmore Girls, even Lorelai, like when she was growing up, she never felt comfortable in her parents' home. She didn't feel like she belonged there. But then once she ended up leaving home, it was really difficult. It was really challenging, but she eventually found her way to Stars Hollow, where she has an entire community and an entire town that just thinks so highly of her and her daughter and is so supportive and caring and like treats her like family. So it kind of feels like you have a journey kind of similar to that too. And look, we have the boat here. So you've gotten the boat twice now because it was also on your safe travel card. So definitely confirming this idea that you're meant to move, and that movement is an important part in your story. And even the card number 22, if you think about the number 2 representing healthy relationships, and then 2 and 2, 4 together, a new home, a new foundation for you to build your life upon. Heart, again, a lot of love. We got love twice here, a lot of love. It's like your heart is meant to be warmed by the love of so many people that care about you. And you grew up thinking no one cared about you, right? And that's a big shift. That's a big change. And we've got this like silliness one here, this laughing one, and this one where we have the little face mask. When I think about, I almost feel like your early environment was almost making you sick a bit. Like the chronic stress of having to hide who you are, of having to walk on eggshells. Like the specifics are different for all of you, right? But there was something about it that made you feel unwell, that you weren't able to thrive. You were, again, like a sick and dying plant, you know, that needed to be repotted and resoiled and whatever, you know, needed to be moved somewhere else so that it could thrive. And it's like you come alive once we get you out of this bad soil where you were never going to thrive. And then things get a lot more lighthearted. I feel like you don't truly laugh. You don't truly know what real joy and this like carefree kind of energy, like you don't know what that feels like until you get away from whatever that bad stuff was. Yeah, you got a Sailor Moon charm, which is all about friendship. Like you are meant to experience what it feels like to have not just one best friend, but I feel like a core group of friends that really feel like your family. And I wasn't even paying attention at all. I wasn't paying attention at all that this dice was on this little dish, but hey, everything happens for a reason. And I actually feel like this number 6 is quite significant because this safe travel card often reminds me of the 6 of Swords. And I feel like your reading really carries the energy of the 6 of Swords. This idea of as you move away from that physical place with all those people, right, where you're originally from, as you move away from that, your mental health improves so much. And listen, your mental health and your physical health are connected, mind, body, spirit, and all of that. So I would say just in general, your overall health and wellness too improves. And again, you're meant to experience that. This little paper clip, having healthy attachments, a similar message came up in group 1. It was just a little bit different because it was a different charm, but this always makes me think of healthy attachments where, yes, there's work involved in the relationships. All relationships involve work, but they're healthy connections, right? They're balanced connections. The Wheel of Fortune, and we have Death. Yeah, I do feel like the hand of fate is pretty strong in your life, but that's why you have to be, I think, so decisive, so intentional. So intentional. Why can't I say that word? So intentional. Anyway, so intentional about how you use your free will, about how you use your free will. It's really important for you to trust your gut when you need to and to take decisive action without procrastinating. And you're meant to learn the art of using your free will to its highest and full potential. And you are meant to, in some ways too, the way these cats are running around the wheel, it's like, I think in some ways, it's like I'm trying to outrun my fate. And then when I slow down, I realize how to master, like, actually going around this wheel, and life gets easier when I stop outrunning my fate. But with death here, you are meant to heal from really deeply challenging, traumatic, messed up things, okay? You are meant to heal and transform. You are meant to grow through some really difficult early circumstances. I'm not going to sugarcoat it, because I think you've already been through a lot of it. And it would be a disservice to you, and I don't know, it would just be a disservice to you and almost even disrespectful to not acknowledge that you've been through some crap. You know, it's like we have to say that. We have to give space for that. We have to acknowledge that. But we also have to say, guess what? It doesn't always have to be that way. And it won't be. Then we have the French horn here. The funny thing with the French horn, like, you have to put your hand inside of it to play. And I always thought that was like, I don't know, such like an awkward thing, right? And it's something unique about the French horn, but it reminds me almost of like you understanding, like you're meant to understand the connection between you and your spiritual team, and how to work in collaboration with your spiritual team. It's like you understand that you and your spiritual team are not two separate entities. Like, you are them and they are you. There's no disconnection between you and source energy. And so to make beautiful music in your life, you know, to create this beautiful story, this beautiful rhythm in your life, you know, to achieve the kind of life you want to live, you have to work in close collaboration with spirit and understand, again, that push and pull between fate and free will. And on the back here, it says passionate with Scorpio, and you have Scorpio energy twice, because the death card is also associated with Scorpio. I do think you're meant to, again, have a spiritual awakening. I think you are meant to explore aspects of the occult, like tarot and astrology and other spiritual practices. And I do think you're meant to be someone who understands human psychology, who understands the almost like human nature in and of itself. You're meant to deeply understand what motivates people, and you did get motivation before. What motivates people, you're meant to learn how to read people's intentions really clearly, and you're meant to be a protector of those that you love. You are meant to be also, I think, the keeper of some people's secrets. And that may seem like a small thing, but it's really beautiful when someone trusts you, right? To share something that's deeply personal to them. And you're someone that can carry those secrets. You're someone that can really, I think, be a safe space for other people. And this charm here is really special. I don't actually know who this is. I don't know if it's my aunt or my mom. I don't think it's me, but it's some family member. I found it in my great-grandma's things when we were going through some of her belongings, and I was going to take some of her brooches. But this charm always makes me think of really cherishing someone, really holding someone close in your heart. And I think, you know, when you think of someone being a baby, you think of someone at their most innocent, right? Innocent version, right? And I think always giving someone that grace, right? Always giving someone the grace, the benefit of the doubt, always choosing to see the best in someone. And I think in your early years, you were so criticized and so judged, but what you're meant to experience in this lifetime is what it feels like to be cherished, what it feels like to be truly loved, to be the person that someone holds dear in their heart, and to know what it feels like to have someone give you the benefit of the doubt, to give you grace. And that may seem like a small thing to some people, but I think to you, because of your childhood, it's going to be something that really, really means a lot to you. that someone would choose to see the best in you instead of always casting you in a negative light and wanting to think the worst of you. All right, putting your charms to the side, we are going to get your wrap-up messages. I'm going to get you a Witch Cat card first. And this is just a bonus message for you today. And before I read this card, I'm going to also grab you a Wylder Oracle card to see what's coming next in your life. And again, this is just a bonus message for you, and that gives you, some time to look at the artwork here. Okay, put this to the side. And we have Dream Space. Meet Dahlia. She perches on an idea cloud drifting through the astral plane, a realm existing outside of physical form. Her fur is a reverie, her eyes a vision. Here in the dream space, there is no friction, no time lag between your desire and its manifestation. You imagine a cozy cottage with birds chirping and a babbling brook. Instantly, it exists in the dream space. You long to write a novel, and the book appears on the shelf in the library of the dream space. Your dream already exists. Follow your intuition, take aligned action, and you will find that secret place where the dream space and your life merge into pure magic. If you can dream it, you can achieve it. And it says blessings here. Travel, look at that. Travel, experience, and broadening horizons. I am constantly learning and refreshing my views. So yes, what's next for some of you is travel, and that would be amazing for you. Some of you are really meant to travel, really meant to relocate. We've got that message so many times. Broadening your horizons. I definitely think of like deciding to go to school, deciding to further your education in some way, whether it's getting a formal degree or getting a certain license or certification or training course. But this is what's next for you, and it's going to bring a lot of blessings. I think you need to uproot yourself and find yourself in a different environment. And you're going to, it may take you a while, right? Like you may need to travel around for a while, but eventually you're going to find that magical community, that magical place where you belong, and it feels so right to you. You even questioned like, would I ever get there? And for some of you too, it's a course of study, like really finding a field of study that intuitively feels right for you, and you will be divinely protected. Yeah, a place that will feel like you're forever home. Okay, everyone, that wraps up your reading. I hope that it resonated and that it brought you all some comfort and gave you the clarity that you needed. I did want to let everyone know that I'm selling personal readings on Etsy, so if you're interested in a personal reading, be sure to check out the link in the description box. Also, I do small restocks. I'd have like limited filming time, so if ever there's a reading that you wanted but it sold out, just be sure to check back. You can also look at the community post tab. I usually post on there whenever I do a large restock, or if I do a restock of any particular reading that's been popular. So like the future spouse readings typically sell out quickly. You can also send me a direct message on Etsy, and I will try to give you a heads up just before I do a restock if you want to be personally notified of whenever a new listing, whenever a listing is renewed. Okay, and then also, of course, we have our Patreon now too. So if you're interested in joining our Patreon community, I post 2 new videos every month over there. You get to vote on the topics, and you also get to submit your own topics. So it's a nice little community over there. So if you're interested in joining our Patreon, be sure to check out the link also in the description box for that. please consider liking, commenting, sharing, and subscribing. If you hit the notification bell, this will also allow you to always know when I upload. The easiest way to support the channel is, of course, just to watch the ads. I also want to say a huge thank you to everyone who has been watching the ads, been a regular viewer, donated on Venmo, tipped with super thanks, commented, liked a video, any of that good stuff. It really means a lot to me. I know since I've had my baby James, I've been a lot slower about responding to comments, but I do read them and they do mean a lot to me. So I appreciate the engagement. I appreciate the support and everyone's patience. Everyone's been so kind to me as I've navigated this really big transition, being like a new mom. So I just want to take another moment to say thank you for that as well. And wishing everyone the best as always. Please take good care of yourself from me and from Gracie. We wish you guys all the best, okay? And yeah, I thought it was time to update the outro, so here we are. All right, take care, guys. Last but not least, welcome to your reading. I'm going to go ahead and set the intention that we are connecting with your energy and your energy alone. And a big thank you to my spiritual team and your spiritual team for all the messages we are about to receive. We're going to start off with 3 tarot cards upright from the Enchanted Feline Forest Tarot deck. And we are looking at your highest potential in this lifetime. What are you meant to achieve? Your highest potential. It's very beautiful to start off with the World. We've got the 3 of Swords. I will say this is like the prettiest 3 of Swords I think I may have ever seen. And we have the 7 of Swords. It's like you started off with a really pretty card, and then you got 2 really challenging cards after that. But let's see what your oracle has to say too. And if you need to get a drink or a snack, now would be a good time to do so, because we're going to be shuffling for a little bit here. We have Vitality, which I heard there's always life after death with that card. Psychic abilities, and we are taking the Gilmore Girls deck I just got today, which I'm really excited. This was one of my birthday presents to myself. This is my first time using it. Oops. Which you can tell, like, I've got to break in the cards. Ooh. Lane Kim the Rebel. Okay. This card is shedding a lot of light. A lot of light on what we've got going on here. If you've never seen Gilmore Girls, Miss Lane, I really love her character. She definitely grows up in a home where she is restricted a lot, but even with all of those restrictions, she still finds a way through very creative and sneaky means, which makes me think of that Seven of Swords, actually. She finds really creative ways to still pursue her passion. And I really love her character because nothing is handed to her. Like, nothing is simple, nothing is easy. Like, she has to create the most convoluted, detailed plans, schemes, really, to outmaneuver her mother to do the most simple, basic things. Like, her freedom is really restricted. But even despite all of that restriction, she still finds her true passion, which is music. She still finds a way to pursue that dream. And she never gives it up. She never lets it go. Even when life takes her in very crazy directions and she really just can't catch a break, she still pursues her passion. She never lets it go. And I think that's such a beautiful thing because a lot of people never even find what they are truly passionate about. Some people don't have any hobbies even, much less something that lights up their soul. But you are really meant to be like Lane, despite whatever life throws at you, despite whatever your family does, or what your childhood is like, despite it all. You are meant to find your passion and live it. Find what lights your heart up and live it. No matter how sneaky you have to be with that Seven of Swords, no matter what you have to do, even if it's overcoming a tendency of self-sabotage. Like, because fear and doubt and even imposter syndrome, right, will keep even the most talented people from pursuing their dreams. And I think group 3, you have real talents. Now, all of you are different. All of you watching are different. But I will say, you have a talent. And maybe you haven't discovered it yet, but you have a talent. You have a passion for something. Again, maybe you haven't discovered it yet, but it's your fullest, highest potential in this lifetime to discover this talent, to discover this passion, and to light the world on fire with it. Like, you are meant to achieve something big here. And there's something about what you're meant to do with that talent, with that passion, is meant to give life to others. But I also think it's what keeps your soul going. It's like your motivation to live. It's your life force. It's not just something that you do, it's something that you are, right? Like, I'm not someone who plays guitar, or like I'm not a musician as my career. That's who I am as a person. It's not what I do, it's my identity. It's who I am in my soul. And you're meant to awaken to that. And of course, like, we do have psychic abilities here, so we can take this card very literally. Like, you are meant to discover certain psychic abilities that you have. But I actually think for most of you, this is really describing how you are meant to awaken and discover things about yourself and learn who you are through this craft, through this passion that you have, and understanding your place in the world and what you're meant to do. It's like your soul's purpose is all intertwined into this one passion that really lights up your heart. And I think for you to not pursue this passion, for you not to discover this talent within you, would be the greatest heartbreak of your life. Like, it would be I don't know, it would just be like, I'm trying to think of a good way to put it. Think of something you love to do more than anything. Like, I love to read books. That's my thing. I love to read so much. And if I were to suddenly live in a world without stories, it would be like not being able to breathe. Like, I love to read. I love stories. So something like that, like to not explore this, to not pursue this passion, to just let it sit on the back burner, to have a talent that you don't use, that would be devastating. Like, you need this. Your soul craves this so much. This is what your soul wants to do. It's what it was meant to do. This is everything to you. Okay? Let's see what else we get here. And again, despite any obstacle, because Lane has to like practice with her band in Lorelai's garage. She has to sneak behind her mom. I mean, she really has to be just so creative to even be able to pursue music. Authenticity. Yeah, this is who you are. And I think you are meant to really learn how to develop your craft and your talent so that you're not mimicking other people that you admire who have already done what you want to do in some way, but you're really meant to find your own voice. And I think that's definitely the case with like creative people. Like, you have to find your own personal voice, and maybe in the early beginning, stages of you exploring this, maybe you are copying or borrowing from, or you're heavily inspired by other people who you admire. But then as you develop this talent, as you delve into this passion, you really find your own unique voice for whatever it is that you're doing, your own unique style, your own unique perspective. It makes me think of like watching the show Project Runway. They were always using that kind of language, like, what's your perspective, what's your point of view as a fashion designer. It's reminding me of that. We have safe home here. I do think this goes back to that idea of like Lane and how she never felt like she could just be herself. Like, there were so many restrictions for her upbringing. There were so many rules about what she could and couldn't do. So maybe for this group, like, you resonate with that message. And it's not until you're older that you're fully able to just authentically express yourself and be who you are. And again, like, this feels like something that's very core to your identity. But you are meant to have a home. You are meant to have a place where you feel safe. But this also feels like, to me, you know how like creators, artists have like very dedicated fan bases, and it's almost like those fan bases become a community in and of themselves, but then it's like that little corner of the internet or whatever, whatever platform they're using to interact with their fans, that becomes a safe space, like their home. Like, when I think about my YouTube channel and like interacting with you all, this is a pretty safe space. I don't typically get attacked by you all in the comments. Like, that's not like a typical thing that occurs. Usually everyone is very supportive and very lovely and understanding, and we have a very just like sweet, wonderful community, right? Like, we have our little safe corner, our nice little wholesome corner of the internet, right? It reminds me of that, like finding a dedicated fan base that is so, and not that I think of you all as a fan base, but I'm just trying to use that as an analogy, I guess. But just like a very supportive, dedicated fan base for whatever work that you're creating through this talent, through this passion. Like, you're meant to have a following that And that community of your fans, of your supporters, of your customers, your clients, whatever, they are your safe space. Abundance. Now, I will say, I do think you're meant to be quite wealthy through this passion, through this talent that you have. I do think you're meant to be quite wealthy. And you're the first group, I think, to get a message about wealth. But you really are meant to be financially abundant. And maybe that's a relief, because maybe you felt like, if I were to pursue that, or maybe you have been pursuing it and you haven't had any luck yet, you haven't had your breakthrough moment, your lucky break, but you are meant to be financially abundant through this talent, through this passion. And it's like, it's definitely like that saying, you never work a day in your life if you do what you love. And pioneer a passion for doing and creating what has not been done before. And that goes back to that idea of like, maybe early in your career, you're doing things that are heavily inspired by other people that have come before you. But through that growth as a creator, as an artist, whatever it is that you're doing, you are meant to really do something fresh and new and exciting. And it excites you, but it also excites the world. Like, you're really meant to stand out from the crowd. You would be the group that I would say has the best chance of becoming, wealthy and famous, for sure. Like, meant to be in the spotlight, meant to be a leader, meant to have a following, all of that. All right, let's go ahead and get into our charms now. But definitely meant to be successful in your career by doing something that you truly love and something that you're truly passionate about. So for the charms, I am going to mute the audio because it gets really noisy as I mix up the charms. But after I've mixed them up, I'm going to close my eyes and just intuitively select some charms to put on our little dish here. And then we will do your reading. And sorry, there's like one of my hairs on your dish. Okay. Oh, you got the Books a Million Millionaires Club. That's so cute. Now, for those of you who really want to be a writer, if this could definitely be a confirmation. But for most of you, I'm getting this idea again of you being really wealthy. Like, you're meant to really accumulate a lot of money in this lifetime through doing something that you're truly passionate about, something that you care about. And I also think too of like exclusivity, right? Like when you're famous, you have access to places, you're on the VIP list and not everyone can get in. It's making me think of that as well. With you getting the double butterfly clips, that feels really significant here. I usually just think of like childhood nostalgia with these. Obviously like transformation and growth, but this in the context of your reading feels like you transforming your life by doing something that you've loved to do or that you've been drawn to ever since you were very little. So this is I think a passion within you that you've always had, that you've always been drawn to, and by you pursuing it, by you following that passion, living out your dream, you're really achieving your highest potential. And you may also, for some of you, maybe you're meant to have a partner too. This isn't for all of you, but maybe you're meant to have someone else working alongside you, even if they're just in a more supportive role. So just to give some examples, this could be like if you're a writer, maybe you have a partner that you always write with. I'm thinking of Christina Lauren. They're a writing duo and they have written a lot of popular romance novels. It's making me think of something like that. Or you know how certain artists always have a particular person that they work with in the studio. So I'm thinking of like Drake and how he always works with his friend 40, I believe. So something like that, like someone that you always prefer to work with, someone that you prefer to collaborate with. And this could also be symbolizing you may have a breakthrough moment in your career because of a certain collaboration. It makes me think of Betty White and how like she had such a long, successful career, but she had a complete like revitalization of her career when she was very, up there in age. Like I said, she had already had such a long, successful career, but she became a household name again when she did that Snickers commercial. Like everyone loved it. Everyone thought it was so funny. And like it gave her a whole like revitalization of her career. And she wasn't expecting it. She was like, thought she was pretty much retired and done. And then she had that breakthrough moment again. And so, yeah, or like you think about artists, right? Like they collaborate with a big name when they're just starting out in their career, and that's how they get popular. That's how people come to know them. So it could be a significant collaboration at some point that really helps to give you a boost. With the Chariot here, for you, I'm mostly thinking of success, like just straightforward success. Like you really aren't meant to be so successful. And really, I think you're meant to reach a point to where you have a whole team of people working to help support you in this dream, in this passion. Like I definitely think you get to a point to where you need an assistant, or maybe you need a stylist, or maybe you need a publicist, or maybe you need a brand manager or something like that. But you have people working below you, and you're delegating tasks to them, and you are the leader of the brand, of the company, of whatever it is that you've created for yourself. But you're really meant to be a leader. You're meant to be in charge. And I think also, if you are resonating with that message of like being a creator of some sort, a creative type of person, then you could also be someone who is really meant to be in charge of their vision, and you're not meant to be in a position where you have to compromise your artistic integrity or your artistic vision in order to be successful. Like you're not meant to compromise your authenticity. You're not meant to sell out. Essentially, you're not meant to sell out for fame and money. You're meant to get fame and money through being authentic. I think you're meant to master how to make the best possible decisions, even when you're dealt a hand that isn't necessarily great. But I also think on the other side of that, like these are all great cards here, you are meant to have at least one point in your career where you get this amazing lucky break, and from that point on, things are so much easier for you. Success is almost like guaranteed after that lucky break. I do think you're meant to network with people. I think of linking up with the right people at the right time to bring you the most success. So I think you're fated to meet certain people in your life at a certain time, and they are key, they are integral to helping you on this road to success. So again, being in the right place at the right time, meeting and networking with the right people. Life is short, talk fast. This makes me think of like, you get an opportunity, you get an audience with someone who could really make your career, right? And it's like, you've only got 5 minutes with them, so you better give them your best elevator pitch for why they should give you a shot. Life short, talk fast. Like, you got to grab those opportunities. And I think with the Chariot, you're going to. Yeah, Gemini. Oh, I thought this said Gemini. That's so funny. Don't know why my brain saw that. And it's so funny too, like you got Leo energy twice here, which is really cute. And it says generous. And I always think, as a Leo myself, that we don't get enough credit for how generous we are. Being ruled by the sun, people tend to think of Leo as being very self-centered, and we are, but that's not always a bad thing, to prioritize yourself. But anyway, that's how you're able to be generous, right? Like when you fill up your own cup first, that's how you're able to give back to others. And I think this is what you're doing creatively. Like, it helps you to authentically express yourself. I think you don't feel good unless you're able to have this outlet, this passion to express yourself. But then at the same time, I also think your work, the work that you're creating through this talent, through this passion, is really helping the collective, you know. And I think that's definitely true. You know, like there are content creators that make my life better. There are authors that make my life better. There are musicians and artists that make my life better, right? Like they bring joy, they bring warmth to my life. And I think a lot of people feel that way about their favorite writers and musicians and actors and whatever the case may be, content creators. This is very simple. You're meant to sparkle, you're meant to shine, you're meant to be in the spotlight in some sort of way. This little wink is so cute. Like, there's something, again, like a little bit sneaky, a little bit mischievous about your energy, group 3, and I don't mean it in a bad way. This is probably the first time where I think the 7 of Swords has come up in like a remotely positive sort of way. But there's something a little bit cheeky about you, group 3. Like, I don't know, there's something about your energy where I'm hearing, if there's a will, there's a way. Like, y'all aren't quitters, you know, you don't give up easily. You have tenacity, you have grit. You know, there's plenty of talented people out there, but not everyone makes it big, you know, and it's like you've got that certain it factor to make it big. You've got that something special, that something different. We've got Virgo here. I do think, and it says practical, I do think there's a perfectionism to you that does put you as like a cut above the rest. There's a desire here to really perfect your craft. And some people, when they reach a certain level of success, they get complacent, right? And they just keep trying to repeat the same old formula, and they try to recreate that old success, but you can't recreate the magic of that initial moment, right? And people get bored, people get tired. You got to grow and evolve and change. You can't stay stagnant, right? There's always going to be some new up-and-comer, you know, ready to replace you. And so I feel like you're able to keep your spot at the top. You're able to stay on top of your game while not compromising your authenticity by really trying to perfect your craft and stay true to that. And we have the galloping horse here. I do think you're meant to have a lot of sudden changes in your life that you have to adapt to really quickly. It feels like your life moves at a very fast pace, and I really think this is a sign of like you having to keep up with the times, like you really having to work at staying relevant in whatever field you're in. And lobster. This makes me think of Friends and how Phoebe's like, you're her lobster or whatever, when she's talking about Rachel and Ross. I do think you're meant to have some kind of soulmate collaborator. Like this is a real confirmation to me with like the double butterflies. Like, and this may end up being like a romantic partner too. Like maybe you end up falling in love with one of your collaborators, someone else who works in the field, someone else who does what you do. There's something or something adjacent to what you do, like a writer who falls in love with their agent or something. But even if it's not romantic, it's just like best friends forever, you know, like this person is your family, you would do anything for them and they would do anything for you. And, you know, like it's maybe it's a cutthroat industry that you're in, but you know this person will always have your back. And I saved this one for last because it was my favorite. This is really you mastering your own inner, I don't want to say inner demon, but it's like your own inner critic, you know, the little nagging voice in your head that tells you that you're not good enough and who are you to think you can achieve such things. And again, that imposter syndrome, any tendency towards self-sabotaging because you think you're not good enough, any self-doubt, like that's what you're really meant to overcome, is like self-doubt, because that will hold back any creative person, anyone who's trying to pursue a dream, right? Like your own self-doubt will stand in your way more than anything. I'm just going to put your charms back on your little dish here. I take them off so I can make sure I talk about each one and I don't forget anything. We are going to grab you a Witch Cat card as a bonus message. And then we are also going to get you a Wylder Oracle card here. And this is just going to be what's happening next in your life. And again, this is just a little bonus message for you. We have True Sight. Meet Lexi Puff. When she peers deeply into your eyes, she sees your soul and honors your unique magic. She lets down her guard, dissolving all veils and illusions. Her cosmic self shines through to meet your gaze. She stands before you exactly as she is, with no shame and no apologies. It is easy to slumber in a haze of forgetting, lost in our human dramas and games, submerged in our stories and identities. Awaken your true sight and fully see those who have traveled through lifetimes with you, your soul family. Peer through the trappings of this life and witness each being's true cosmic self. Let the spirit in you bow with the love to the spirit in others. I do think this goes back to this idea of you finding your people, people who truly resonate with you through your work. And it's almost like too, like you're going to have a lot of parasocial relationships because you're going to have that kind of, different levels of fame, but you're going to have some kind of public recognition from the people who enjoy your work, enjoy your content. And I will say some of you with that soul family message coming through may have also resonated with group 2. Okay, we have a subtle change brings profound transformation. My body, mind, and soul resonate with my well-being. That's interesting. And look, we've got the butterflies again. I would definitely say butterflies are a positive omen for you, a good sign, a sign of good luck for you, a sign of good fortune. But look at that, a subtle change brings profound transformation. Something small is having a butterfly ripple effect of positivity in your life. And I do think Spirit is showing you a lot of grace with this is mirroring temperance energy. There's something out of balance in your life and it's going to be brought into harmony. Okay, everyone, that wraps up your reading. I hope that it resonated and that it brought you all some comfort and gave you the clarity that you needed. I did want to let everyone know that I'm selling personal readings on Etsy, so if you're interested in a personal reading, be sure to check out the link in the description box. Also, I do small restocks. I'd have like limited filming time, so if ever there's a reading that you wanted but it sold out, just be sure to check back. You can also look at the community post tab. I usually post on there whenever I do a large restock, or if I do a restock of any particular reading that's been popular. So like the future spouse readings typically sell out quickly. You can also send me a direct message on Etsy and I will try to give you a heads up just before I do a restock if you want to be personally notified of whenever a new listing, whenever a listing is renewed. Okay, and then also, of course, we have our Patreon now too. So if you're interested in joining our Patreon community, I post 2 new videos every month over there. You get to vote on the topics and you also get to submit your own topics. So it's a nice little community over there. So if you're interested in joining our Patreon, be sure to check out the link also in the description box for that. Please consider liking, commenting, sharing, and subscribing. If you hit the notification bell, this will also allow you to always know when I upload. The easiest way to support the channel is, of course, just to watch the ads. I also want to say a huge thank you to everyone who has been watching the ads, been a regular viewer, donated on Venmo, tipped with SuperThanks, commented, liked a video, any of that good stuff. It really means a lot to me. I know since I've had my baby James, I've been a lot slower about responding to comments, but I do read them and they do mean a lot to me. So I appreciate the engagement. I appreciate the support and everyone's patience. Everyone's been so kind to me as I've navigated this really big transition, being like a new mom. So I just want to take another moment to say thank you for that as well. And wishing everyone the best as always. Please take good care of yourself from me and from Gracie. We wish you guys all the best, okay? And yeah, I thought it was time to update the outro, so here we are. All right, take care, guys.